if you come into a, if you come into a situation where, you know, students are from a different background than you have to figure out a way to kind of empathize in their situations and put yourself in their perspective. In a sense, walk in their shoes, even if the shoes are bigger or smaller than yours. And that's usually just how I kind of go about with this escalation process. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Now, I wanna just add on to Dizzy with that because I think the most important part that one of the most important parts that stuck out to me that you said was how you met him in the middle with the Pop Tart. You know, you can't, and I think we're trying to kind of relate this all back to the people we're going to be working with. You know what I mean? Like, and you said that you don't want to make them so uncomfortable they feel unsafe. And I think a lot of times we see where we want the participants to go, and we want them to like sprint there, and it's really about small steps that feel a little bit more comfortable to them so that they can get there on their own. You know, you don't like when someone pulls you somewhere. You like when you're kind of making these decisions yourself and you feel empowered. So I think that triggers come when your power's taken away. Like you're no longer in control of yourself. So I really think, Dizzy, that was great because you didn't take your brother's power away. You were like, yo, let's just start with the Pop Tart, you know?
Of course, I think it's important to remember, like, power in a sense is an illusion there.
Mm-hmm.
When we're teaching anyone, we're trying to empower them, right? And we're only the people in power because we have control. We have the initial tools that we're bringing in. We're sharing something and hoping that it's received well. Being that my brother was blind in that situation, he couldn't see that the chicken nuggets were going to be uh changed with strawberries. He didn't have that choice, which is kind of represented by us when we're walking into facilitating situations. We already have our lessons planned. You get what I'm saying? We have to adjust in the moment, based on the participants that we're working with, based on their emotional, spiritual beings for the day, and meet them where they're at. And that's where the small hoops come in. The lesson plan is the overall perspective, but we narrow in on certain things when it's like, all right, maybe this is resonating with them more. Let's build on that. And that usually is my approach, especially as a freestyle artist in general. I can come in with a plan and improvise on the fly because it's like, all right, this is the key that's resonating with them. Let's play more on this chord. Let's make a chord. All right, we made a chord. Let's make a progression from there. Okay, we got the progression down packed. Let's compose all the sheet music from this one note. And I feel like that's just always important in these situations. Yeah, seriously, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, Diz, you killed it.
Anybody can jump in whenever to
Yo, so
spaces.
many gems being dropped in this moment. I just want to point that out. I think the way that y'all connect, especially like, being artists in that way. I love the analogy of like the playing note because it's so real, like, and you can see it in their faces. Like the moment you hit on a topic that resonates with them, and it's like, all right, this whole lesson plan out the window. This is what we doing now. You know what I mean? And being able to adapt in those moments too. I think that's a big part of it. You know what I mean? Being able to take those cues from the people that you're serving at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I think that as teaching artists, as teachers in general, we're at service to the people that are participating. You know what I mean? Like this is something we're offering. And it's a big offering, you know what I'm saying? It's years of life experience that we've compiled into a lesson plan and then we've given it up, you know what I mean? So it's like so many parts to it that it's like you have to read those cues in order to be able to adapt in the moment, to be able to serve your people well, you know what I mean? Like, and do your job effectively and from the heart. So all those gems just resonated with me. I just want to say thank y'all for that, for real.
I appreciate that too, and I resonate so much with the ability and idea of improvising. And I think my reflection is that it's so important to have that initial game plan. And I think that that's something that I really struggled with because oh man, I've just spent so much time and energy resisting structure, all the structures, you know, the political structures, the who was I speaking with the other day? I was speaking with somebody about how like even just wanting to know that I'm on my own and doing my thing, like, where are you going? I'm not telling. Where I'm going to the corner store, but you know, it's not a big deal, but there's just like this part of me that's like, rah, structure, and wanting to oh yeah, so allow the space with the young people to be one where they're really doing the work. I always say that I love it when if you can walk into a classroom and not know who's teaching, but it's functioning, then I'm succeeding. And then I think for me, something that took some work was understanding or trying to work through, okay, but in every environment, it's a process because there is the privilege, there is the authority, you know, and shifting from that teacher drop down bank method of authority to the magic place where you're in a room, you're in a space, and you're in a circle, and everybody can contribute, and everybody knows that they have power and agency in the space is actually a process that takes time and effort and push back and pull. So that's something yes, Papi. You would like to play with the guitar? Okay, I will bring it down. You can play guitar for everyone. So I've struggled with that. I don't know that I have I'm like in the achievement, but I know that it's something that's on my mind. Yes, I'm gonna bring it down.
And just to add on off Namibia, what she said about how the participants walking into a space that's already functioning where you don't know who the teacher is or who the facilitator is. I've seen that work time and time again. So I worked in a very talking about de-escalation, I worked in a very intense environment. I worked in a juvenile prison for 5 years, directing the after school programs there. And I could tell you straight up off of what Dizzy said, off what Unique said, off what Namibia said, the most successful programming is when the kids, like, I always try to help people kind of look at it this way. If these kids weren't in these environments, right, say a prison, say a psychiatric environment, say an inpatient treatment, they would be getting out of school at 2 or 3 p.m. and doing whatever they want, right? Or doing something that they wanted to do. And so how do we create an environment that they would want to go to when they got out of school and they weren't within this like structure that makes them have to go there? And that's how enjoyable like our settings need to be. And I watched time and time again. We had a graffiti artist, this guy Alex, that he would just be painting on the walls when they arrived already. And he wouldn't even say anything to the kids when they walked in. He would be painting, he'd be like, yo, grab a paintbrush. There's some spray paint over there. You want to use that? It wouldn't even be a discussion. Or our music class, the beats would already be playing when they arrived to the studio, as if they had just booked out a session at a studio, not in prison, not in a psychiatric environment, and them walking in and feeling like this is a place where I would actually want to hang out is the most important part. And I think what Namibia is speaking on when she says it takes time is that time is the trust you develop with them at the beginning of them getting to know you. And then once the trust is developed, it's kind of the whole room that does everything together. So yeah, I just wanted to say that to piggyback off that Namibia made a good point, that it's really the whole room together working that makes it more effective.
I wanted to chime in to what message that both you guys had said regarding structure, I definitely resonate with your story in Namibia, because I'm someone too that kind of feels like when I'm in those positions, like I've worked with student with special needs, I work in gen ed settings, and you always kind of feel, especially for me, I started working since I'm like, 18, student mentorship, tutoring, and I moved up, so you kind of feel kind of awkward, like, for me personally, being in the same age range and then having them to like look up to pay attention and to learn and to hold that position. So structure was something I kind of like clinged onto, so I can feel as if I had control. But in the sense that what you said too, G, with just having these settings where you can be free, I've kind of learned, especially now that I got older and like went through that experience, and I've had my own personal experiences dealing with people that had emotional distress and trauma, including myself, because we all carrying something that we're healing from. One thing that I noticed for me was that because I was always in a space where, I had to be like, I'm on top of things. And in reality, I'm like, I'm only 18, I'm only 21. You guys are like one year apart from me. I can't control what you do, what you say, but yet you have to look at me like I'm the authority. I always found that very nerve-wracking. And I've learned to like, yeah, like let the space kind of guide you, and also just be yourself. Like, it's okay to be you. And students, especially who are younger to you, they connect to what you go through, because even though we're adults, we're literally like little kids in big people's bodies. We all don't know what we're doing. We all don't have it figured out. So when you kind of show that vulnerability and have a space and can just let go, it makes it a whole lot better. And I find it makes it happier. And then even yourself, you could kind of feel it, because you remember what it's like going to school and having that kind of like strictness and sternness, and it didn't make anyone happy. And then being on the other end, working in such places, it did make me sad, especially seeing like people who did have, emotional distress and trauma. And sometimes it got really violent, like with how they would treat students. I didn't enjoy, especially with whatever setting I was in. Sometimes they were allowed to handcuff children, put them in a room, and that's all you're taught. But now that I'm outside of that box, I'm like, screw that. Like, quite frank, I think it's kind of disturbing. And we should have the freedom to let them just flow. And when you kind of go through that process yourself and you're healing yourself from those moments, it help you get the kids get the healing that they deserve too. You know what I mean? So that's something that I took out from that experience, and that I think that person has helped me to realize the escalation when it comes to students.
I guess I'll add a little bit as well. Something I was thinking about, Shin, as you was just talking, was my previous experience, which has been basically 3 years ago at this point, which made me say to myself, like, I don't want kids, even though I do want kids. Um, I was like, I don't know if I want to work in a school ever again. Like everything was like, I'm done with this whole working in schools type thing because of the school I did work at, and a particular position that I was in. So I was an assistant director for after school program. And my supervisor, who was supposed to be the program director, was the community schools director of that entire school. And it was weird for me because usually when I was working in schools, I've had different positions in which I didn't have to do too much of what they say, de-escalating or like classroom management, because I was always coming into the schools as a, I mean, not, I know it sounds weird, but I was like a social work intern, but I was a supervisor for the staff and after school programming that would be at schools. But the other thing was that before jumping into assistant director, I was a social work intern, but as a parent and student organizer, right? So the approach of working with students and parents in the school community was completely different. So when I had to step into assistant director role and basically program director at this point, um, it made it difficult for me to really keep on my Paulo Freire toolkit, my facilitation toolkit, because I had to work as being a boss, right? And having to, be authoritative and being like, this is what you have to do. And but like coming from the transition of working with the parents and students, like, we're all on the same playing field, right? And I'm like letting students and parents lead, campaigns and all of that, to me having to be like, this is what you can do and this is what you cannot do. It was a horrible experience for me, right? And of course, not having the support from the people who work in the schools, right? Because that's literally, embedded in the education system, it hurts because then, you know, when I'm trying to use my approach of facilitating with, young people, and say, for instance, the young people aren't listening or whatever, right? Then to hear one of the students say to me, all you have to do is yell at us and we'll be quiet. And when I heard that, I was like what? Like I've never heard that from anybody. And it really bothered me because it made me think about how, because of the school system, it makes it hard for facilitators who aren't coming with that approach to actually, bring in more of a community for the students, because the students are so used to being talked a certain way. Um, and I think that bothers me a lot because, that type of teaching is not impactful for the young people, and I feel like that's what brings anxiety and triggers in a lot of the students, in their upbringing. And then we don't know what's going on at home either, and so they're probably used to being yelled at and cursed out at, and being told that they're bad, like all these different negative things that are like coming to them. So to the point where if a facilitator is actually being nice or, really showing them the support, they're so not used to it to the point where they're like, pushing it away. And so I really thank all of you because I feel like this is definitely a space where we definitely challenge those type of norms. Um, and I just want to say to y'all and to myself, for us to just keep going and keep, pushing for a better way to build relationships, especially with students, participants, and even others around us.
I just have a quick comment on what DJ KK just said. I think that sometimes when it's like authoritative figures, like you get so disconnected. And then what keeps me grounded is like remembering my experience as a young person. Like that's at the helm of everything I do. Because you gotta, like you said, KK, like you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their home life looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like even with teachers at times, it's like, yo, you don't know what they're stressing about, whether it's finances. Most teachers are like paying off thousands of dollars in loans. Some, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many things that go along with the human experience, period. And I think that sometimes when we get in these roles, it's easy to forget those things, like the humanity of everything. You know what I mean? It gets so far removed from the mission. And it's like, man, that's at the helm of what we're doing here. It's part of the human experience, right? And so when we can stay grounded in those things to the core of who we are, I think it's much easier to then push through all of that noise. You know what I mean? And so it's really powerful to hear everybody's experience, because that's really what it's about. You know what I mean? Staying grounded in the mission, right? It's like, how am I going to connect with this young person? And I have to think about when I was a young person, what connected with me? You know what I mean? Like, people telling me what to do never did anything for me. People giving me a choice, that did something for me. You know what I mean? Present me with the choice. Either I could do this or I could do this other thing. And it's up to me, how will I apply myself? And so when you bring that up to the forefront in the conversations that you're having, in these moments of escalation, giving young people a choice, like, hey, listen, you could either choose not to participate and kind of just stay in the same thing that you've been doing, or you could get outside of your comfort zone and potentially take away something different from this lesson or from this moment. It's really your choice, right? And I think that when you present a young person with a choice like that, 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the one thing that makes them happy, you know, whatever that thing is in that moment. And as a facilitator, you have to be able to not take it personal. If that choice is not the lesson plan, if that choice is not what you're doing at that moment, then if all you can do to support is just be in a room with them, then that's one step closer to the overall mission, right? So thank y'all for sharing, because it really resonated with me.
Peace, relatives. Peace, Sister Unique. Thank you for your share as well, and follow up and follow with truly. I wanted to offer. I believe it was Sister KK who had said, looking to see more perspectives also informs our collective, and so drawing from the image of the de-escalation cycle, and also in light with the conversation, my offering to this particular discourse, in the term or in the beginning step that Brother Y put up, calm. I believe that every escalation, to use this word, is a challenge, and it really can begin and initiate a growth experience, one that if humans have certain presets, then we are prepared, and with preparation, a lot of these steps can be ameliorated. We can service these steps in really beautiful ways. So in review of an example, and I honor Y's example on and about finances, I honor Sister Dizzy's example about working with relatives that offer more challenges and opportunities for self and personal growth, to reorient ourselves and say, what are our presets? What is the gear that we have on that is preparing us to do these walks? And as we are walking, do you have a medicine bundle to recruit, let's say, nourishment, nutrients, antioxidants? Are you walking in offering? And is there a level of preparation that if there is somebody on the street that is in need, like Sister G says, she's worked with people who are in otherwise very dangerous positions. The consciousness is not an individual relationship. It is a part of a community. So as our Sister Kate explains, the Redwood Network is not above ground. And therefore, their limitation is not to the realm of the sky. They are reaching deeper and deeper within to create a collective support, a union of communication. The internet is not a new concept. And my friends are here, my squirrels are here right now. We are speaking and nature comes. This responds. And we have to be prepared for these kinds of visitors. We have to in our calm, more families are coming. We are called to be here now, and we are here in this life because we chose to be here together. And so in that calm is an establishment of a resurgence, your own sustained power cell, your battery pack, your capacitor, and know that the wiring of your divine creation is created with a material that is purposed with adaptation. Our brother Chicano yesterday had shared with us, in reflection and in conversation, that we are some of the only animals that are gifted with story. We transmit, transmute, transduce and transform through story. So in hearing these narratives and creating a new sense of calm that brings into account and factors in all of the voices that you guys are sharing, know that the contributions are creating a greater sense of calm. It's going to inspire more people to act like G Major, and instead of shooting the fair one with Mama Dukes in the middle of the kitchen with all the sharp objects, I'm walking outside, sister. I'm going to take a step outside. And I'm going to come back and say, yo, mama, I love you. You created me. But would I have walked out my previous self? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We aren't using those weapons, those tools of manipulation that have been utilized by the infrastructures and institutions that so-called govern us. The second step of the triggers, you know, I'm called to the story and the show shooter. I encourage all of you to excavate where your voice is in that particular position, because in these moments of genius and sharing, our brothers and our sisters, like our animal friends and relatives, receive different transmissions. Not all things received by spirit are good. You need to question the spirit and create a dialogue. Know what spirits you are convening with, and do not seek to refute and diminish someone else's inspiration. Our relatives from the island of Yemayeka say the I and I sees the you and me, and because we are together, you are the you and I am the me, and we create. We are the world, and it's so difficult when there are structures that seek to escalate. They seek to escalate us. But in our moments of weakness, when we aren't looking outside of the communitarian perspective, is when we are most vulnerable. And those triggers can lead to the agitation. But if you do not understand your response systems in these human vehicles, what derivates the reptilian brain and the basal ganglia from the cerebral cortex and the orbital frontal cortex are those mirror neurons. You are going to be a reflection of what you are seeing if you do not have those presets, if you have not created those protocols, and if you have not prepared in stillness, in calmness. What Brother Julian is saying, that evolution of the human experience. And the acceleration is a specific language that's used in this particular prompt that is defining a component of physics that does not inform velocity. Your velocity is dictated by distance over time. And know that scientists who are staying in this dogmatic mathematics have to draw from nature, from earth, from what we open this space speaking about, and the portals that we are allowing to open in our gates, our centers, and our energy springs, our nadis, our meridians, and what the now scientists are refining as dermatomes. The science is the same, but the spirit is the beyond component. And so in these conversations, there are physical conversations at the peak, but there are also spiritual connotations that are unique to each person. And when we begin to draw from our wells in a collective sense, we are encouraged to say, wow, brother, I had an opportunity to see it your way and feel that pressure from Con Edison. And then I stepped outside and remembered that there was geothermal energy underneath me. So I'm gonna go dig a hole and stick my foot in it for a while because I'm close to the water and it's a little warmer there. And when we finally arrive at that summit, it is critically important for us to celebrate the victory. A lot of us are moving with a trajectory based on acceleration. Force is mass and acceleration. And know that the force in the mass is not only in the material. What we teach in the university settings here at Borough Manhattan Community College is a way to transcend the curriculum. The science is meant to be dry. It's meant to intimidate you on purpose because you are not the, how do you say, the hand-picked person or teammate on the sideline that would otherwise receive first pick. And so there are filters. So when these filters are in dialogue with your persons, you are not representative of one universe. You are a part of a multiversal song. You are the sum total of all the good and bad decisions of all of your elders and ancestors, and you chose to be here now. So as you are on that peak and you are celebrating that stillness, that oneness, you are further from the tethers and you are closer to the ethers. And so when when the recovery periods happen, and something that the brother, a relative in I think his name was Jason, in the second initiation of conversations of creative expressions at CCNY, or maybe it was Angel. I think his name was Angel. I'm glad I'm saying Jason because my cousin Jason just celebrated his first union with his partnership and his 3 children, his Wadishe of many, many years. And he said, I'm ready to make that spiritual union. And he made it. So Angel, this student asked about vitamin D and body odor. His friends laughed at him at this presentation. And this young man who is a part of the what we call the prison industrial complex, he in his own vulnerability said, no, I don't eat that kind of food because that kind of food isn't going to feed my body. This is a young man of 13, 14 years old. And his friends mocked him and said, he stunk. He said he's vegan. He smells. And you know what that young man did? He did what G Major did, and he walked outside the room. He didn't come back. But in an opportunity to define the function of cholecalciferol as it assimilates to the body, it is a how do we say, a water soluble vitamin. And so our bodies, the greatest organ is the skin. And if you are not taking care of your skin, that organ is critically a function for the rehabilitation and protection of your entire body. And so as we purgate in our recovery, as we do like Sister Kate did and take a 2-week fast with a prompt or an inspiration from a relative atom of the 7th layer of the 7th dimension, we have to bring that back to self. We have to relate that back to source and go beyond all of our credentials and know that our expression and evolution is divine. The triggers are only the triggers if you allow them to be. The triggers can be prompts to pour from spirit. And the encouragement should always be to release what is no longer serving you and to call in breath. That inspiration is the reason why the word was changed to inhalation. The halus or halation of process is not inspiring. It is something that is contained. And know that the diaphragm in your vallecula of your vocal cords communicates with the diaphragm of your pulmonary system and communicates more especially with the diaphragm of your womb energy. So I want to give deep credence to our sisters and our divine women who have chosen to manifest in these ways in this time. And know that in the Caribbean, in the United Confederations of Taino Peoples, in the iterations and expressions of the United Nations forums on indigenous rights, business, food justice, and security, this is what we are at the heart of. And these are where our discourses begin. And so we choose to build community, and it's an honor to be with all of you with so much love. I say Dani Shibui with so much love. Dani Shibui. Thank you.
Yo, I had like a whole thought stream, but Guaza rattled my mind in like a really good way. Um it's always important when messages kind of hit your spirit. Uh, which takes me back to what I was going to say. This is to piggyback off of KK, who was telling us how students are used to responding to figures of authority when they yell at them, right? And I I have like a really awesome experience with authority because I was able to kind of compare and contrast in different school situations, since I started from kindergarten to 8th grade in public school, then Catholic school from ninth to 11th, then back into public school, into a GED program, and then into a urban art beat, actually, which is how I met Y to begin with. And all of those systems, institutional systems, have a different system of authority. Public school is loose end, but when you're in the kindergarten to junior high school aspect, the resources are slim, the teachers are very much so underpaid. So the amount of emotional care and support dwindles because of the lack of pay, and they import a lot of teachers that are not from these communities to serve students that they do not connect with. It is insane to put teachers that do not connect to students in those communities, especially if it's like a situation where you put police officers in neighborhoods where they're not accustomed to. They're going to be super scared. You get what I'm saying? You have police officers in underserved communities that go in looking at the people in these communities that are finding methods to survive as pure criminals and can empathize with nothing else. So when we have situations like that and we're put into these communities as facilitators and to share our knowledge and wisdom. You get what I'm saying? Like Gwaza, with doing all of these messages that students don't normally get. The response to yell at students seems a little like shell shock. And the way I look at it is like, I'm not going to yell at my students. I'd rather have a call to action or a call and response, which is what I do at any show when I'm a regular artist, besides from the teaching point. You get what I'm saying? But every part is a teaching experience. So that's neither here nor there. But it's better to have that call in response or that call to action that gets their attention, so we're all on the same frequency. And we can kind of build from that same frequency and build the energy up from there. In a lot of these schools, especially systems that are like public schools or for students with special needs, of course, there are extreme circumstances. And the facilitators that are usually there that are not in programs like these, they have a crazy mindset because they have seen crazy things. As far as like my experiences into these schooling situations, I come from the South Bronx, you get what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that the students face, I kind of identify with. It's like, all right, this is everyday things for me. I could look and see where an issue may be. Oh, you're into this lifestyle. Maybe we should steer you away from that and get you into something that's more productive for you. We can find what that is by actually conversing and connecting with the students. Each student is different, just like all of us are different. I know with my own self that the way that I communicate my messages are usually through tangents and analogies. That works well for me because I have an attention span of a guppy in dirty bathwater, and I have to assume that there's going to be a lot of students that also have the attention span of a guppy in dirty bathwater. I know that's a crazy analogy in itself, but it's true. We want to force students to kind of be attentive at all times, right? And I'm not attentive at all times. So that's an unrealistic expectation. You get what I'm saying? We want students to grasp whatever central core message that we have in our lessons plans, which goes back into those small hoops and giving them these little fruits for their labor. You get what I'm saying? Positive reinforcement, letting them know, celebrating them and letting them know that they're doing something well and positive, even if it was just showing up today. Sometimes showing up is the first freaking step. That means you're willing to make the change and willing to go into progress. And we should celebrate that just as well as them actually completing an activity in the lesson plan, because we don't know where their mental stability may be for the day, or are they emotionally there for that day? Is your spirit driving you to be here? Did you see something that is horrific? We live in New York City. And God knows what someone can see on the way to school. They could be on the train and someone gets hit by a train and everyone's like, damn, I'm going to be late now. That compassion, that lack of compassion for other humans is a universal thing right now. And we're driven into these communities to spread love, to spread that positivity, to spread that growth, to help the next generation be better than whatever this generation right now is. So, yeah, I think TED Talk.
Yeah, wow, this is all like amazing stuff that everybody's saying. And it's like, it's actually even kind of teaching me in the example that I was about to bring up. And I'm just gonna like walk you guys through it because I'm open to being critiqued to how I dealt with this too. But something like my most recent experience kind of resonates with a lot of what's being said. But yeah, so basically this happened on like Friday while I was I teach third grade band after school, and the usual kind of day is that we come in, we go eat snack, we come back, we do band, and then I take them upstairs to do the group leaders activity. Now today was that day was just a little rough, and when we were coming back from snack, I only asked for like 2 straight lines. We be quiet through the hallways, and then we come out and we do band. And this day, 2 kids started like pushing each other on the line. So I addressed it, and with one of the kids in particular, he thinks the deeper issue is that he thinks that he is targeted a lot, and he thinks that he's usually the problem. So as I was kind of addressing this issue, he was already getting upset and like, she did it first, da, 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 da. Like he was just already blaming himself, and he was already like blaming me. But I was addressing both of them, and I sat the whole class down, and I was just like, look, we can't do this when we walk through the halls. We're just walking quietly. It's very simple. Let's just come into band. That's that. And as we were doing band, he was starting to get upset because I didn't put him on the drums first. And one of my other kind of like guidelines is like, be patient with me, and I will tell you when you're getting on the instrument. Like, try not to ask me beforehand, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna prompt you to get on the instrument. But he asked me, and like I seemed a little agitated when he did. So I was just like, look, just sit down, and I'll tell you when you can play the drums. And at the same time, this other girl, she usually like, she has a really hard home life, and I know that. And she doesn't really want to be in after school, and most of the time her and her sister like do things in class to be that are like not okay. Like they'll act out, or they'll like throw a desk down or something, or just say really bad things to other kids. But it's because they don't really want to be there. And but this girl I have in my class, and she was just like, I asked her to sit down and wait to be on the drums as well. And she was screaming, she was making noise when I asked the band to be quiet. So my next cause of action was to kind of take her out of the classroom. So I sat all the kids down, and I took her to the group leader just to like sit with her and do her homework or whatever. And when I got back into the auditorium, I was gonna continue with band, but at this point I was like really angry. So I sat them down, and I said to myself, I was like, all right, I'm really upset. but I don't want to show these kids anger. I don't want to be angry at them. I want to connect with them. So I decided to be really vulnerable with where I was at. And I was like, okay, guys, um, I just want you guys to know that like when I come in to do my job, I just want to do that. And what my job is to teach you guys how to play music. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And it makes me happy when I see them like learn something and understand it and demonstrate it back to me. And like to play music with other human beings is like a gift in its own. And I was telling them that that's a skill that they now gain that I would love to give them. And so that is like my only vision that I have for band, for them to learn music and to learn how to play and like communicate with other people. And and like that's my vision for band. That's what I want. And I encourage them that if a student is acting outside of that vision, that you have the ability to kind of correct them and redirect them so that we can really get that vision through, so that we can really, you guys can learn to play music and play music together. And I said, if there's anything that's like angering you, because like the kid who was pushing online, he ended up throwing a tantrum and covering his face, which bothered me because when he covered his face, I can't see him and I can't resonate. I can't address the problem that he's feeling. I can't see what's happening. So I just said, like, if you guys, it's not fair that if you're feeling anger, if you're dealing with something that is bothering you from earlier on the day and you don't tell me, but you choose to act out in anger, it's not fair to me because I can't solve the issue. So after that whole conversation of what I wanted for band and what I wanted for them, I lined them up so we could do the activity. And that kid who threw the tantrum comes up and talks to me, which I really appreciated, because like it's hard for him to talk. But he was like, he expressed to me, he said, I feel like I'm annoying to you. I was like, no. You don't annoy me, you will never annoy me. And I just kind of ran through. I was like, there's just things that I expect in class, and when that doesn't happen, I have to address them. So it's not that you annoyed me, it's just I was trying to correct you. You got into pushing in line. All I want is 2 quiet lines. You asked me when to get on drums. I asked you to be patient with me and wait for me to tell you to get on drums. And like none of this annoyed me, but I was just explaining to him that like there's just a way that I would like my class to go, pretty much. And like I asked him how he felt after we talked about that, and he was like, I feel a little better, which was just really good to hear. And then when we go upstairs to the activity, the other girl that caused the problem in class was just doing her homework. So everybody would sit down and I was like, all right. I was just thinking, what can I do here? Because I know when I talk to her, she kind of glazes off. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this. So I just said to her, when you're done with your homework, I'm gonna talk to you. So we went outside after she was done with her homework, and I just decided to talk to her because I know the big problem that she's facing is she's getting left back. And like I know that is kind of like defeating to her, aside from her hard life at home. So I was telling her the same thing that I told the class, but I could see that it was taking too long and she was glancing off. So I was like, all right. I said, what did I say to you that hit? Like, what did you get from what I just said? She was just like, all you're saying is that I'm stupid and I shouldn't do that. So like, that's not at all what I'm saying. And I decided to break it down to 4 different steps. And I was like, all right. So number 1, what I told her and what I told the class is that the tantrums and the outlashes in class yesterday was the last day that it is to happen. Number 2, I told her that she's brilliant. Like I always tell her that she's brilliant, that she's smart, that she's capable. Number 3, just work with me, not against me. And number 4, anything that is outside of the vision that I have for the band, it's like not okay. Let's just work to make it fit that vision. And like I had to repeat those 4 things over, and like number 2, she wouldn't say. She kept saying that she was stupid, and like I wouldn't stop until she said that, until she said I was brilliant. I told her she doesn't have to believe it now, but like I just want you to remember that you are brilliant, you are capable. And I was expressing that I want her to just like, she's good at art, and like I want band to be like another kind of avenue that she can appreciate that she knows that she's good at, because I feel like right now she doesn't think she's good at anything for the main fact that she's getting left back. And I was like, don't let school or like these systems deter how brilliant and amazing that you actually are, because like that's not it. um so yeah, like that day was kind of, it was interesting to me because I used to struggle with being angry a lot, and like I was really bad at communicating, but I feel like that day I kind of communicated my vision for the class and my heart, and I think that I'm hoping that that resonated with them.
That was amazing, Sean. Thank you. And I'm just gonna pop in quick because I know we only have 20 minutes left. So I want to be like super cognizant of time, but based off everything everyone just said, um, I think Gwaza kind of touched a lot about like the energy in the room. And I just wanted to say one thing that I've really learned from working with youth, especially in kind of like intense environments. It's that Dizzy also said that we have to think of how we felt when we were younger. And I find that another thing that escalates kids a lot is when they are singled out, because there's a lot of shame involved with them just being in a room of other kids and then having all of the energy transferred onto them. And I don't know if anyone who's worked in these environments, KK, I know you have, Dizzy, I know you have, is that a lot of times when they're being reprimanded, multiple adults will reprimand them at once. And it's like a lot of stimulation. Like it will be like a lot of voices coming in and like we're discussing the energy and the energy of the room. So I find that a really cool tactic that I've used, or that I've like kind of asked like the facilitators I've worked with to use, is to like calm down the room in its entirety, instead of like if you know, just kind of shedding light on like, hey, the energy is getting a little hyped up right now. And I think we could all just take a step back for a second, because I feel like especially with young men, it escalates them more to be singled out, and to make, and if they feel like I don't know, inadequate in a sense, or that they're getting their power taken away. So that was just one thing I want to touch on from everything everyone said. Is I used to get in trouble a lot when I was a kid. And I think the most embarrassing part was when like the teacher talked to me thinking like what everyone else was thinking. So I think just being cognizant of what it feels like to be singled out is a helpful way to de-escalate a situation, and to just make it about the whole room and everyone's energy coming together to calm it down. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you guys. So we're about 18 minutes till our designated end time. I know some people came in a little later. There will be a recording. It started a little later when Dizzy spoke. I'm also going to share a Google Doc that anybody could build with and add on. So I have some logistic things that'll take about 10 minutes, but I want to be mindful of the voices that haven't got an opportunity to speak. And just know that you guys have answers and you have the resources to each other. With everybody's permission, I'll send one email follow-up unBCC'd. It's just something that I've learned that, find these answers within yourself, just stare at a wall and you can figure it out. And I'm not being sarcastic. Like, literally look inside yourself. And every situation is this. Once again, when I was planning for this session, I was like, it was a lot of letting go, it's about making sure all voices are heard, and everybody processes in different ways, as will your participants. So I'll open up for another 10 minutes. With permission, if you guys are willing to hang over 10 minutes longer, I can do logistics then and allow voices to speak till noon. Let me know if that's okay. I have to be mindful of everybody's time and commitment. There are some logistic things I have to go over just in regards to what happened at the two sites and next steps. But I do want to be mindful of the voices that are in here that did not have the chance to speak. So please do this. For those who are coming in late, it's a self-regulated environment. I am not the leader, nor is anyone here. Everyone here is a leader. Everyone here is a student, and everyone here is a teacher. And basically, we are showing the example of it. One thing I also mentioned in the chat was step up and step back. It's easy for a person like me to dominate a room, so I have to consciously step back. For a person who can easily stay behind, like Cece mentioned, that she not her challenge in this setting might be to step forward. Doesn't mean you have to, but it can be an internal way. I've learned how to speak with doing this. I got hella notes in the doc. I started throwing up sneaker emojis in here that make absolutely, sense to me. There's other ways, and I'm gonna reiterate on what was said earlier. 90% of communication is nonverbal. It's your presence that really says a lot. It's your energy that says more. People are not really triggered necessarily by what you say, but how you say it. Because people like, I just told him, pass me the thing. I didn't do nothing, but there was an energy behind it that one may not be aware of. So even in these settings, use this as a conscious way to be aware of what energy you're coming with so that you can adjust, because the only thing that you can change in this life is yourself. So I will pass the mic to any voices that haven't spoke yet till about another 15 or so, and then I'll go into next steps. Please let me know in the chat if that's all right to go over logistics. Once again, we have TJ, we have Jesse, we have Queen, and we have Cece, and Diano, who I think haven't verbally participated as much in this session. That's what I'm being mindful of, right? So I want to give the floor to them for this next 10 or 15 minutes and then go over logistics. Thank you guys. You guys can self-regulate on who has to say something. And of course, if you don't have anything to say, that is fine as well.
I'll pop in really quickly. My apologies for extreme lateness. I'm very honored to be here and be part of this conversation with you all. My name is Queen Heroine, aka Peridot, or probably more so the other way around. Thank you for the invite, Y. Next Level alum. I'm an MC, I'm an educator. I've been in education for over 20 years, on and off in different capacities. I didn't get a chance to hear quite a bit of the conversation, but from everything that I did hear when I came in, it seemed really accurate, just from my personal experience with the way that everyone handled or is continuing to handle their particular settings and situations, which are always unique. I had a quick comment on Sean. I was wondering, the artist, the student that you're working with, the young lady, is it possible that she could incorporate some of her visual art skills in conjunction with the music, since you do band, perhaps to design something, whether it's a flyer, a music, like a hypothetical, like if there's, I don't know what the goal of band is, but I'm sure at some point you guys have performances, whether it's a flyer for the performance or a logo for the band that you have, just a way that might be able to pull her in a different way where she does have a sense of skill and esteem that may make her a little bit more flexible and malleable as far as the music part, might make her feel a little bit more comfortable. And you may have already thought of this. It's just something that came to mind. I've taught special education, music, emceeing. I teach visual arts currently in Mount Vernon, New York. So every day is something. And part of why I'm so late, I was helping my daughter with a used new car. And we're all educators, so literally teaching every day. And I just felt horrible not dedicating some time to her, just to be completely transparent, because as teachers and educators, sometimes we don't even tend to our own children. We spend a lot more time with them than we do with our own. So I had to spend some time with my child. And then I was like, look, I gotta go. I'm actually really late for this. So part of my lateness, but I don't want to take up any more time other than to say everything that we do every day that we show up is so critical to these kids. And we don't even realize sometimes how much not only are we getting from them, but them getting from us. It's a real genuine exchange. And I don't know if you guys are off this week. I'm off, thank goodness. So I plan on recharging so that I can be better for them when I go back. Because again, if we're not well, then we're not doing our job well. So self-care is also critical. So thank you guys for letting me speak for a moment, and keep doing what y'all do. Okay, peace.
Big J, TJ, CC, anything's arising, Julian as well, I gently welcome you to step forward, if you choose. If not, totally all right. Especially TJ, Big J. We haven't heard y'all voices at all in this session, which is totally okay.
Do forgive my my lack of participation because I was working and still heading home at the same time. I was mostly underground for a good amount of this meeting. So excuse my lack of participation. I'm honestly unsure what to add in at the very moment. I know if we have more meetings, I'll know exactly what to say in the future. So again, excuse my well, yeah, lack of participation in this one, but I will have more on my prepared for the future. If y'all can be understanding to that.
CC, any thoughts? Big J, Ayano?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Julian on that, like with the whole in future, meetings to be more open. Right now, I'm just really receptive to everything and everyone that's been saying a lot of things, because a lot of what is being said are things that have been going on in my wheels, and my wheels have been turning. So, because there's a lot of things that I think about and a lot of endeavors that I want to pursue as it pertains to this journey that we're all embarking on, that I may not necessarily know how to articulate just yet. And so I'm also just, internalizing how to like verbalize and how to articulate, when it comes to a time where I'm being asked certain questions and I'm like, I need to know what to say and be, stern, like to know, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know my intention. I know my purpose. Being able to articulate it in a sense that, it's not that I'm like searching for things. I need things to come out and flow. But you guys use certain nomenclature and certain words that really resonate with me, that I'm just like, ooh, notes. So I'm like taking notes down. Cool. So when it's my turn, or whatnot. But real quick, like just with I'll just add in a little tidbit with how I connect with my students, in that I listen to them a lot and I work with them. I don't work for the school. I don't work for this, but I work with my students. And that's something that's very big for me, especially because I've had students approach me and it's like, Miss, I feel like you're the only one that listens to us. Because there may be a day that I come in, and this was like before the pandemic hit, and there may be a day that I would come in and I assess the energy of the room immediately. And they're not there to go in and take instruction. They're not necessarily, their minds are not, they're like, oh, another class, we got to dance now, we got to this. And I'll sit with them and speak with them. What's going on with you? Talk to me. What would you like to do? Do you want to talk about what's going on with you guys? They could be in the middle of testing or, what have you. If they chose, to dance that day, we will move that day. But if they wanted to speak on something, we can speak on it. If they wanted to make connections, we can make connections. But sometimes I felt that the approach of going in with an openness to adaptability and not a lesson plan helped me, and it helped them, and it showed that I'm working with them, that I'm not just there to like, I'm just going to go do my job and leave, because I serve a greater purpose for them. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they think that teachers go in to just do their job and fulfill their requirements. And that's not how I operate. And that's not how I intend to continue to operate. And so as my journey continues, I want to develop, a broader spectrum as to how I approach these settings. So thank you everyone for all your contributions for that. So you guys are definitely all contributors to my
my future endeavors. And I pray that, it's the same. It's a mutual exchange. Yeah. Boom. No.
There you go. No, thank you, Cece. That was very honorable, and I love it. And same thing, guys. I offer things, but I don't impose. I've learned the best thing is for us to show what we do rather than tell. Once again, I didn't speak that much in this meeting. I'm even conscious
Thank you,
every time
man.
I unmute, and it's just there. Big J, I hear a voice. Let's go. Talk to us, bro.
Wanted to say peace to everybody. Sorry I was a little late to the meeting. It's really uplifting and strengthening to see, familiar faces, peers, and mentors, as well as hear from new educators. And I look forward to this journey with everybody, building bridges of unity with the youth and community on all different type of levels. It's going to be great. We're going to learn from each other, learn from the students, and really, really apply all the different gems that we have in our own personal journeys, as well as the collective growth we've had through our different work in these fields and community work, activism, artivism. So let's do it up, I hope everybody has, a blessed week ahead. And I look forward to being in touch with you, but I'm in a really, really good zone personally. And I've been a little bit on and off when it comes to the teaching, my personal teaching art. So this has been the time the universe, and the infinite has been pushing me to get back in to use the vessels that I've been given, and try to use my art for a purpose beyond myself and beyond the ego, and do that in a healthy manner rather than being out in the streets. Although, I think that's good for its own time and place. So trying to bring some channeled energy from my revolutionary activist days and combine it with my my spoken word and MC hip hop, capabilities, whatever that means. So much power and love to everybody. Salute. Love you, Y.
I love you too, man. We got TJ, and then if not, TJ hasn't responded yet, Kate can do, and then I'll go into a couple final wrap-up logistics. Once again, thank you guys. Probably go a little over, but I'll do my best to keep within the frame. TJ going once.
What's up, y'all? You guys hear me? Hey, cool. Yeah, this is the first week this is the start of my winter vacation, so I'm off this week at the school I teach at. So it's cool to be meeting with you guys, hearing your stories on teaching experiences and just, life and these connection experiences, right? Because I like how we say learn from, but I also like to think of it as learning with the students, and learning, how to better be a teacher the same way, when I was their age and when I was still taking lessons and still do learn, I learned how to better be a student. And both of those things help to learn how to better be a person. So I wish sorry for me coming a little late, but I caught KK and Sean and Dizzy and Guazabara, and loved all what you guys had to say. And yeah, but I hope to be a little more vocal in the next one. But I could pass it along to Kate if she wanted to speak next.
Sure, thanks. I just want to celebrate you all, honestly. My AirPods are dying, so we'll see how this goes. They just go boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I really think that I wish I had teachers like you when I was growing up, and I was blessed to have some really exceptional teachers. I have so much privilege in that regard, and I honor it, and I honor each teacher who inspired me. My mother was a music teacher, and you guys are so inspiring to me, and I have received such wisdom through your experience sharing and your wisdom and just how you approach this gift of being in a classroom with students, with your fellow beings. They're not even students, we're all students, right? We're all teachers, we're all students. We're all here to give and receive, and our opportunity is to figure out how to connect so we can do that. And you guys have spoken so brilliantly to that there's very little I can offer. The one thing I will share that I've learned recently, because I grew up with people all in the head, right? That was all mind. And education usually targets the mind and forgets the body and the spirit and the heart. And so I start all of my contagious vulnerability experiences with a grounding of some kind. Now, obviously, mindfulness doesn't work in every context, but like, how do you get somebody into their body, right? I come from the world of Silicon Valley. I worked in Silicon Valley, and they talk about big data. Big data lives in the sky and the cloud, and it's all numbers and Google Analytics and bullshit like that. And it's like, yeah, that's valuable. The mind is valuable, and the numbers are valuable, but how do you feel about them? What is your body telling you about how you feel in this room as the person who is responsible for the room initially, but also as every single other person in the room? How are they all feeling? How are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling like, is there some nervous energy? That's wisdom, that's knowledge, that's information you can work with. And inviting the students to actually be invited to like connect with that part of themselves can be very healing, because it can open up more authenticity. It can open up more of what's really here. Because if we're not really dealing with what's really here, we're not being real about it, it's going to get in the way anyway. It's like cancer. You got to like look at it and deal with it, right? Like having it ignored does not help anyone. And so each of you in each of your shares has so beautifully given examples of how you've been present with and invited out and connected with what was actually happening in the classroom, so that you could achieve this incredible vision of where you want to go. And I've done a fair amount of adventure travel. And when you think about what a guide does, I think of teaching more like guiding. You're all going on this journey together, and you have no clue what the universe is going to throw at you during that journey. You don't know if there's going to be a storm, if the road's going to be blocked, if the route you chose is going to work. Like, you don't know how the people on the trip, all of you, are going to be, like how you're physically going to be, emotionally going to be, what's going to show up. There's a idea of where you're going. You have a map and you have a sort of a plan, but you're going to have to adjust along the way. Otherwise, you're going to die in a snowstorm, or be without food, or somebody breaks a leg and suddenly you got to come up with a new plan. And so I think that metaphor works for me. And I love that. I think it was Dizzy that was talking about, analogies and metaphors, like bringing it to life like that. Like, I think is the biggest opportunity we have, is to presence with what's here and work with that energy, and then try to figure out how to guide it like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia with that giant vortex. That's what life is. Like, all we are is standing like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, like trying to hold on to that vortex, and we can't get sucked up into it, and we can't step away from it. We have to choose our engagement with it, and we have to be responsive rather than reactive if we hope to invite others who we are blessed to journey with as co-journeyers, because that's what we're all in it together. We got to all go together. We got to all journey together. And so that's sort of the sort of the mindset I have when I do my experiences, and they're not in the classroom, but you guys are inspiring me, and I'm just like so much aliveness. So thank you for the gifts. Like, I have been soaking in y'all the whole time, and I feel so blessed.
Hi guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Kate, and everyone sharing. Yeah, I think I don't speak much, but I was deeply listening. And then what's so great about this room is that I feel very safe, and I receive, but at the same time I'm receiving. I'm deep listening, and I'm receiving, and then I have like internal eye to at the same time communicate within myself. I think that experience is so amazing, and I'm so thankful. And within this experience I learned. So I think, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate your patience. As Kate said, Gwaza opened up with a great indigenous vibe, and I'm going to ask everybody to get into their bodies before I do the closing remarks and statements, to just stretch. So if that means getting up, a lot of these things, or just, laying back or taking 3 deep breaths, however it shows up for you. Take 1 minute or so to shake it out. We went through a lot today. Once again, an email will come out. The Zoom recording started a little late. I will send a Google Doc. It's optional. I'm being also very mindful not to overload people, because information overload is also real. Just like our students, if you give them too much, even if you think these are all things they need. I had 3 points on an agenda today and we got through 2 of them, and that's totally fine. And I thought I trimmed it down, but things go as they do, and we are practicing what we teach right here, right? There's not waiting for this to apply in a classroom. I personally do not give a rat's ass about an arts organization or anything like that. It's about what you guys carry within us that we build. Every moment is a teach. The universe is your classroom. Every moment is that. Every conversation, you are both student and teacher. So this isn't about, I'm going to turn this switch on in my life at a particular point. This is access to something all of us have within us, just like we're doing in our bodies right now. And everything is welcome, and I'm there. I'm going to go into, once again, a couple logistical things to allow you guys to know what are the next steps. I am looking to do these sessions either monthly or bi-weekly, depending on what you guys need. And then it's about what the acronym I've learned, KISS. Keep it sweet and simple, and then SMART, sustainable, measurable, and rooted in time. So being mindful of people's times. And the goal is to provide value to you guys for yourself. It's not all about the kids, the kids, the kids. I've heard that too much, and I think it's actually a very, very big issue on what we're doing in creative expressions versus what other arts organizations do. I talked to G and she was like, yo, wow, I'm about to go back in this. I don't know. And we have to create another environment, and that environment starts within us. And if we don't practice this within our own mindfulness and our own, there's no way we can bring this to anyone else. So it's about our offerings are what we have, right? It's said if your cup is empty, you can't pour anything in. So we have to feel replenished. And a big, once again, I'm retired as an educator. I'm just a artivist right now. That environment's not healthy for me, but I realized it's necessary. And people along the journey, we have to go where they are, and different people are on different journeys in my life. My job is to facilitate with you guys the way I used to facilitate for those students for 10 years. And I don't have an education background. I don't have formal degrees, and I don't have any of that, nor do I need any of that, So, we have one more question before I go into the wrap up. Queen, yep, go ahead.
No, I just briefly, as I'm listening to everyone, including you, wow, with the last thing, I just wanted to say too that it's not going to be perfect every day. So I just wanted to quickly say that because, we make these plans and it's like, awesome, it's going to be great. And we're going to do, in theory, it's like that. In reality, it's not always like that. So the days that oftentimes is not. So the days that it's not great, I would just say to give ourselves grace as educators, as artists, as people, and understand that God willing, there's another day to just go at it again. And that's with all the relationships in our lives, ourselves, our loved ones, our students. I just want to say that because it sounds really good, everything we're saying, but when we put it into practice in whatever that classroom or setting is, it doesn't always go as fluid. And sometimes we have to be able to give ourselves grace to know that we showed up and that we can try again the next time. It's not always going to be smooth sailing. I just want to quickly say that because it always sounds good, but sometimes it's a little rough waters, and we're dealing with a lot of personality, a lot of emotion, and just giving ourselves grace to know that even when we feel like we've fallen short, we haven't, because we were there. So I'm sorry, but I just wanted to share that in case anyone feels like they're still having struggling moments, because I know I do too in the classroom, and just share that. I'm sorry, I don't want to take up any more time.
No, it's okay. And guys, remember, we're here to adjust. My triggers kick in to be like, oh snap, I'm holding people 8 minutes over time. As long as y'all are willing, right? Like we said, a collective conscious agrees. So if y'all are willing, Guaza has a hand up to share too, and then he can continue. As long as y'all are willing, if y'all give me a thumbs up, because I just want to value your time, because once again, this is my position now to respect the commitment that I've asked you guys to do. And I thank you for extending that commitment, right? The same things that we practice within there are what we can practice in here. Go ahead, Guaz. Thank you.
Peace, relatives. In and before closing, and in acknowledgement of the agenda, there was a portion that we had not spoken about, and something that I just want to leave in the space in full acknowledgement of, especially the first share that happened was Brother YG, who very vulnerably and with deep integrity shared some of the financial challenges that were occurring in his discourse in terms of the escalation and de-escalation process, which was the widget that we had started to explore together. And while he was speaking, I was swiping through the video just to see who was present. And a lot of us were doing the same thing about the Con Ed. A lot of us were doing the same thing about taxes. We were doing the very similar to utilize or quote our sister, Sister Dizzy, who was speaking about nonverbal communication through muted microphones. The financial sector is a constant. It is a theory. It is a challenge. My soul traveling partner and myself have recently broken into this particular sector. And the only thing that I wish to just say and leave here is an encouragement to look into and read Title 12. Start at chapter 11. This is a part of the Constitution. The banks do not have the power. Hello, Zoom. I know you're recording. I know Big Brother's listening. Y'all do not have the power. The power is in the people. And the encouragement toward building is an encouragement that we are now encouraging all of our community members in doing, and holding our hands and saying, establish a third party, an entity of insulation outside of yourself. If you have gifts and you are acknowledging your gifts, create your organization. Do not go for personal guarantees or guarantors. This is how you are left with the burden and responsibility if any discourse is going to occur. This is where personal guarantees is your personal pressure. And pressure bursts pipes, as we say in physics. Pressure builds diamonds, as I believe it was Rihanna or Beyonce that created a beautiful song about it. But Title 12, Chapter 11, reading 1 through 54 will illustrate the executive powers that banks, or quotes, the mafia of banks have. There are sources of revenue that are available in the isthmus, in that negotiation between person and business. Our challenges have always been that our parents have been brutalized by the system, that we say we don't trust the IRS. Call the IRS. As an example and offering, I have gotten the IRS to pay me back bands and racks because we go that extra step to say, hey, Title 12, Chapter 11, when we're speaking about federal powers and agencies and banks, we have to begin the conversation after 12, 13, 16 to the mid-20s. And in so, holding that accountability in reflection for them, know that there are resources available at all times for all of us. We just have to read the instruction manual sometimes and humble ourselves and say, you know what, it's not so easy, but I'm not going to allow for this to trigger me. I'm going to dip into the universal consciousness and the legacies that have been left for us. It's available. It's free. You can do it. The pressure is here. How you experience it is your choice. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Well, thank you guys so much. And remember, that's why the CC'd email will go. This is not the end. This is. And the idea is the network between you guys communicating is more valuable than any institution or organization. This gathering is not for us getting ready to work for an institution. This is about us realizing the power that is innately within ourselves. What a beautiful segue. And that's really what's going on. On that note, with CCNY, anybody who has filled their information on the Google Sheet, I'm in deep communications with Sister Sharice. Your information has been given to there. You should get a message, if you have not already, from their HR department sooner or later, whether you are virtual or in person, Once again, there is some logistical paperwork that you have to get in to A, qualify you for pay, and then B, make sure that you can work. So CCNY, look out for that. If the only one part of the other site is KK, who's MMCC, we are doing 20 sessions in the Bronx with a kickoff show and a closing, a total of 22 for, shout out to this year. So that is going on. And for anybody who would like to be a part, whether that means shadowing, which means to go into a site and check in, if you are interested in being a guest artist or a facilitator with that, or you might be newer to teaching, wanted to let you know that those things are going on. I believe the kickoff show, it's going to be on March 28th, and I believe it'll be open to the community for our Bronx residents. You can go and support the community. Just wanted to make sure, and this will be in an email, but I just want to let you guys know the updates of what have happened within the two sites. So once again, KK will be starting a kickoff show at MMCC, which is in the northern region of the Bronx, right opposite Washington Heights. And the 28th, if anybody wants to go and be a part of the kickoff show, I'm pretty sure you can attend as a guest. I'll just make sure clearance is there. It is in the Fort Independence Community Center. So that is our first analog event set to go down, and you can join, and you're welcome to. Once again, soak up inspiration. It will be an event that we put together called Can I Kick It? DJ KK is going to be playing some original compositions from our youth. The youth are going to have an opportunity to open mic style perform, and that will be facilitated by E Major, aka Elijah Shapay, who is now the educational director of 696, the largest housing projects in the world. Make some noise for that man. He couldn't be here because he's at there, but he did want to send his love, and congratulations to him for doing that. That course will be a music production and songwriting course to see if anybody wants to join it. There will be a virtual component where they are using Soundtrap as well. So if anybody wants to tap into any of that, be a guest artist at that site, once again, I will follow up with the email later on during the week, but that option is there. And then once again, in person on the 28th, right? For CCNY, look out for Sharice's email or something from the HR department, which is just logistics on paperwork and those things. Fingerprinting, as you know, within these sites, if you have taken fingerprinting, you will have to be looked at within the system, and your fingerprints are usually, once you're in, you're in. There are two types of fingerprints, just to be clear. There's one called DOE, which is standard for education, and there's a more advanced one called DOH, which includes usually a background check. This is for clearance for being in a space alone with youth that are under the age of 18. There's also a online, I would call it a prerequisite or a course called a mandated reporter, which usually will be done, which is just basically to report abuse or neglect if it is seen within the classroom. Once again, the HR department will send all of that to you on CCNY. That is Sharice's. That's Sharice, who's going to be the point person for that. And for the MMCC, it's Shantae and Saida. So you can just make sure, if you do need to tap into me for any support. Also, fingerprints and stuff are covered. If you don't have that for CCNY, I'm waiting to hear back from Sharice. So it's not an expense that you're going to have to do. But it does require, just to give you guys a heads up, what I call a DMV style visit, where you're going to have to go into this facility that triggers the shit out of me and bugs me out. It feels like standing in the DMV. So be prepared. You do have to set an appointment. You're going to have to do something like that if you are not within the system. So I did want to just make sure this on whatever stuff it is, this systemic stuff is there, and if you do need support, because it is very anxiety inducing for someone like myself as well. So just know, if you need support with that, if you need help, we have our representatives, but it is a requirement for you to go into those sites. As you guys know, like Queen said, and those who are already in, they're on break right now. So this is midwinter recess, and there will be a break for spring. You can just Google DOE calendar, and that's usually the timeline things fall under, right? So your courses are there. The other thing logistically on courses, I have presented it for both the virtual and in-person as 3 formats. One is one-day workshops. So if you want to do your offering once, remember, this is a choice. No one is going to be put into, this was very terrible from my experience. They would just give me a schedule like, hey, you got 20 classes, 2 days a week, hour and a half, Tuesday, Thursday, go. We don't do that over here. This is a community decision, and you are just as valued equally as the participants. That is a huge goal in the way creative expressions operate. So you can do a one-day workshop and you could say, this is not for me. I'm going to repeat that. It is okay to step away, like G Major said. it is okay to go in there and say, this isn't for me. It is okay to offer, that's my job as a program director. It is okay to give your offering and then say, I need some adjustment. I do need support. That being spoken, another one of the logistic things, anything within CCNY will give you a supportive staff member. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Sometimes these people can be more harm than help. I will tell you this straight up. It will be a relationship that has to be cultivated. And it is very honest that I say that. Like you guys mentioned, like KK mentioned, some of these cats are on salary, getting bread, and that's what they are there for. They may not be there mentally, spiritually, or physically for the upliftment of yourself or the students. Once again, if this makes the situation unable for you, please speak to me and do not force yourself to go through this. We are open for honest and communication. They are there to help you. I'm going to check in if they're for in-person and virtual, but they're basically if behavior issues come up, if a de-escalation tactic goes down, if something goes where you, once again, these are the people who get left out. The teaching artists, you usually get the short end of the stick from my experience. They are supposed to go to you. So if you deem that this situation needs to de-escalate, like Sean said, or this behavior issue is this, or someone should be removed, this is your discretion, but you have support in order to do that. At the facility, I will say in CCNY, I've talked in there, they do usually have what I affectionately refer to as a goon, which is like, pardon my language, guys, but I'm just going to say it what it is. I'm not PC. This is not systemic what we are doing here. I am asking permission to be open and honest. And in CCNY, it is partnered by the New York State Department of Mental Health. And the reason I call it, my brother's been in and out of psychiatric detention centers. My pops is this. I say this with all love. This is a roll of the dice who you get in there. A lot of these people might not be acting on the principles that we're talking about, but they are sometimes restrained, and they're there in a situation that if something goes down that is violent or that goes there, they are prepared for those situations. So that is there. This is a hybrid facility, CCNY I'm speaking of, which is partnered with the New York State Department of Mental and Behavioral Health, which acts as an inpatient facility, which is prepared to handle situations that go down within an inpatient setting. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, if this is not your cup of tea, you can try it, you can see it out. I've personally been all right with it, but I respect everyone's decision. And like y'all mentioned about the students, there is no shame if this is not the environment for you. Okay? I'm going to repeat that again because do not feel pressured because you went through an audition, you sent in this, your course got highly selected, and the youth are interested in what you do. You must put yourself first. I am going to repeat this. You must put your mental, physical, and spiritual safety first. I'm speaking from a person who put that second, third, 18th, 190th place. You're talking to somebody who's doing. I'm not a director that has not been in the jail facilities, in the roughest facilities, have objects thrown at me, have people. I've lived this, guys, so I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, but you will feel, as you know, I believe the youth are brilliant. I believe y'all are brilliant, but do not compromise yourself or your integrity. Thank you for those questions. So yes, we can Zoom with staff before. Once again, they're in the logistic process. Once a salary person is on break during a time off, they are not answering nothing right now, which is also why we are holding these meetings. If you do need extra support, tap in, write me back on the email. Everyone will be CC'd. I BCC'd everyone for privacy, respect, but for everyone who attended these meetings, I'm going to keep it open. So there's one-on-one conversations that could happen between you guys without me that are there, but you guys need to be loved and supported because that's my role, right now, to make sure that you guys are fully locked in that. So once again, once all your paperwork is completed, the fingerprint is there, your virtual sessions, I am proposing this style of programming. Our things that are connected more to health and wellness, which is Guaza's group, which is Shin soap making, which is Julian's health and wellness, Ayano's So Fresh and So Clean workshop. There's going to be a model of having the things that are based on life skills start up this so that they could get the tone of this before we just dive into asking them to make music, sing, dance, etc. There is a level that needs to be there, so I want to step forward with the holistic and humanistic approach first. After those things are established within those courses, once again, instructors can yay or nay. We will organically build the bridge as we cross it. It's not going to be like, here's a forced schedule. We're going to let that go, and we're going to together co-create something. After that, the arts will come in, and then those can be done in, once again, one-off workshops, short-term residencies, or a long-term residency. The duration of a shorter workshop will be 1 hour, 1 day a week. One that is more longer will take place over 2 days a week, primarily an hour and a half to 2 hours max, because we want to respect, once again, people's time, okay? And then a longer term residency to me is usually something that consists over 10 workshops. I consider short term to be 1 to 10, and anything longer term. So those are the definitions that I'm going by. And once again, you guys can decide. For the digital workers and our virtual workers, some people who are qualified, vaccinated, and have the ability to go in site, I want y'all to be supported by the virtual instructors as well. So for example, Dizzy has clearance to go in, right? Dizzy might be doing her thing with hip hop songwriting and those things. Tej is a virtual instructor. I am looking for cross collaboration between you guys so y'all are not left alone. So maybe Dizzy started a song, they started working on the beat in Soundtrap. TJ might come in on a virtual session to help out with some guitar lines or something like that, vice versa. You guys all have schedules, and I need to respect your schedules. Once we do the staff meeting and everything is clear, we're going to look at your schedules and availability and make sure we cater to your schedule and your needs, because once again, this is not all about the kids or the organization. It is about collectively creating something that is equitable, sustainable, and rooted in truth and love. So those are my logistic things. Also, we are having an event on April 2nd because we need to celebrate you guys. You're all musicians, you're all artists, and I need to celebrate you guys beyond the scope of teaching. We are putting on an event, and I'm working in collaboration with 2 physical spaces that are outside of the institutional red tape. This is my exciting one. I will send some details in the email. This is a community space that was converted from a home in the Bronx by a choreographer and dancer named Dominique. She's a NYU Gallatin grad. She's really dope. She has converted her living space 3 floors, basement, first floor, and second floor in the Bronx. My BXers, y'all in here. And she is willing to partner with Creative Expressions for some great work. And this is going to be 100% red tape free. Everyone is allowed, and I'm looking to hold this space for some of our physical meetings. And I also want to show love to the Boogie Down Bronx. You know, we tend to go out to Brooklyn, go out to other places. I want people to go to these communities and be a part of it. It's called Piz Arts, same thing, PIZ Arts. I will send the info. If y'all have ideas for the space, she is open-minded. It is being proposed. The next space is a commercial space in Brooklyn advocating called Freya. I've done 2 site visits at the space, and we're going to be locking it down in Bushwick, and this space is going to be held the Decipher event, which all of y'all are welcome to perform, showcase your musicality, your skills, with no teaching involved, because we need to hold space for each other in that way. It is a celebration of a couple of our instructors, E Major's birthday, as well as LJ's birthday, and we're doing a dedication to Roberto Enamorado, aka Roberto in Love. We're screening the short film that was made, dedicated to his family, and the theme of this event is called You Are Not Alone. We're going to be working on the flyer. If anybody wants to come through, not this Thursday, but the Thursday after, we'll be doing a visit in the site, going over logistics. I'm doing a barter exchange with them. I'm helping them build their inventory list, and then offering certain things to then hopefully have a regular space that we can do residencies out of and create our own events, which I am now opening up to you guys. I ask y'all to support as I build a relationship with the venue. If you want to come through and put in a little sweat equity, not this Thursday, the Thursday after, I will send that out. Out of respect, I'll keep, I don't want to send y'all the super email, but I'll probably send out 2 and stagger it. But those are what's going on, and y'all are all welcome to flex your artistry. Come join, celebrate the life of Roberto Enamorado, and be part of this thing. You are not alone. And once again, guys, you know my steez. The second I get my foot in the door, I open it for you guys. So I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I just wanted to say thank you. I do want to open up the floor once again for any questions on those things. Look out for the email. Look out for the Zoom link. I'm going to upload it as a private link on the Creative Expressions YouTube to respect everybody's privacy, and then it will be there. And then if you guys want to add to the Google Doc, once again, no obligation to check out the YouTube, no obligation to write in the doc. But if I want to respect every modality of learning. And I know some people will probably sit back and watch, or they might type something in the doc, or they might have a link in there that they want to set, or a documentary that you guys feel connects. There's no way we can always go over everything. The talent and the brilliantness of you guys is omnipresent, and we're here. So that's what I got, and that's my final wrap up details. If there's any questions or concerns with logistics, yes, Kate had one thing. Two, yes. The one event is on the 2nd, and the other is a space that's open to ideas. Two separate spaces and places. One particular event, which will go down April 2nd. Ayano is going to be working on the flyer with us, and then it'll be there. And we are working on having a virtual streaming component as well. The Show Love production team will be back in full effect. For those of you who are not within the city, you can tune in, and we're going to have a hold space to make this a hybrid event. So thank you for that question. Yes, and then share the chat thread too. Yes, I'm going to save the chat, and I'll throw that in there. Thank you, Kate. I'll make sure to save that after this. Got you. Queen, thank you so much for being here. We love and appreciate you. And then we'll send in something, we'll talk with the team, and then we'll look at general times, because once again, I usually like to give a week or two to be mindful of people's schedules and not overload you guys. But if you need something in between, then tap in. Tap into anybody else. Doesn't have to be to me, but if there was someone who really spoke to your spirit or really made a connection to, this is what these meetings are for, the networking and build, which was our third point, which I think we organically got. Right. That's how it is. Wow. Any questions on these logistics, or about your sites, or about the HR and the logistic paperwork or fingerprinting? I want to make sure that, and please don't hesitate, because if you ask a question, someone else might be thinking it as well. So
Just
this is very helpful.
why?
Yes, ma'am.
Only thing is, you said a lot, and I know that we're getting emails from CCNY. I know that we're going to be getting all the different things. Is there any way you could just bullet point out some of the things in one email, even if they're not all coming from you, so we can know what to expect?
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yep, email will come in. I'm saying all this. Once again, it'll be recorded on the Zoom and the email follow-up. No one is expected to remember this information and retain it without a follow-up. I'm just displaying it so you could, have it. And then the emails will go there. And I'll probably break it into two. One that is strictly like site stuff, and then one is there just to not hit you with like a holy grail looking email, And then I'm going to take time to reflect on it too. But thank you, G. Great.
I had a quick question just for time, the time when the workshops would happen. Why is this only during the school day, or is this possibly after? I know you said you'd work with schedules, but I'm just wondering if it's
Okay, yeah, I know you haven't done our Artivist training, so pretty much what happened. Thank you for being here. First of all, I know you're a very experienced artist, educator, and Pinky let me know. There's a registration form for the style we do it, and then we do this workshop called the Artivist training. We refer to ourselves as teaching artivists versus teaching artists, and we take a very unique approach. Once again, working within institutions and systemic structures is not our goal. It is something that we do as part of our divine work and part of understanding where youth are and how to access them. But the real goal is to foster community through the arts. And I will send you a Google form, which has a little bit more deeper detailed. For the two existing things that I mentioned, all these teaching artists that are in here, they presented their workshops for either virtual or in-person teaching. They either let know what their offerings were, and then they let us know what they did, and then we basically only presented teaching artists based on their wants and their needs and the situation that come here. We're dealing with a roster of approximately 30 artivists, and once again, each situation is unique, so I will send you that, and then you can fill that out. That'll be creating a general profile for yourself. And then as certain situations come on board, once again, the two situations we're speaking on are pretty much solidified already. But any of the other things, such as the event, such as those things, you are totally welcome to join. And we are always looking to grow and expand. And we welcome everybody as there is. So, I will send you something that'll give you a little bit more of the logistic details of how this ensemble got on there. And then, of course, like I said, if you want to hop on a call or ask any questions after you dig through the website and the Google form, feel free to do that. Thank you so much for your presence, Queen.
Thanks
Yeah,
so
no
much.
problem. All right. Keep them coming, guys. I love these. These are all great. Anything else? All right. I'm feeling good. Thank you, guys. We've received.
KK has her hand up. Why don't
KK, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for the check-in, Kate. KK. Talk
Just
to
one
us.
quick question.
Sure.
So I know like with the fingerprinting, at least from what I remember pre-COVID, because I don't know if things changed. One of the particular fingerprints, I don't know if it's DOE or the DOH,
Yes.
but I remember hearing that you would have to like renew your fingerprints every like 2 years or something like that. Is that still the case? Um, because I haven't had fingerprints since like 2016.
Yeah, so what'll happen is for your particular that package I sent you from Saida KK, you're gonna fill that out and they're gonna run it through. Once you fill out the paperwork, Saida will reach back out to you and say, "Hey, your fingerprints are within the system. You are good," or "Hey, your fingerprints were not found or expired. You're gonna have to go and do steps 1, 2, 3." So just they will let you know. And I know for MMCC, not CCNY yet. I know these names get kind of confusing. For MMCC, there is of no charge to the artist. I always advocate for the agency covering it. But for your particular situation, and once you get them done one place, they are valid within all. So if you were to work, for example, at CCNY after doing your fingerprints from MMCC, you're Gucci. You're good to go, and you'll be within there. DOE fingerprints, I think they last, unless you had like a strike or like an arrest or something that happened within the justice system that would invalidate your access. The mandated reporter, the thing that we mentioned earlier, which is a safety protocol thing, also has a 2-year expiration date. So if you did it, this is now 2022, 21. If you did it before 2 years ago, that has to be redone, and it takes about, I think, 40 minutes or so. It's just you watch a series of videos and you answer questions about, like, if you saw a child come in with a bruise, what would you do? Anybody who's worked within sites or youth, this is a state mandated requirement. So there's a mandated reporter, and I think there might be another one about safety. But once again, the HR department of the organization will let you know exactly what they need, and both of them have direct reps that can assist you on those things in a way better way than I can. But thank you for asking. And once again, guys, I appreciate this. So yeah, somebody's expired. Okay. Yeah, so Unique, so far, the two things that happened are already happened, but these Artivist groups will go on. The Decipher will go on. And once again, I want people to understand that we're thinking beyond the scope of getting a gig with an institution or education organization. That is something we do, but if that was our body, that's like a pinky on what this work is. At least that's what I wanted to make clear. Like a lot of organizations, that's the main focus, to get you guys in a space teaching. That is not the main focus of creative expressions. This is the main focus. You guys and this community and building this community is the primary objective. If you look at the website, it's building community through the arts. That ain't got shit to do with the DOE. That ain't got shit to do with that. But if we roll up in there and we do that, it's what we do. I'm not against it. We're going to do what we do. Talk to me if there's an organization you need me to present, and I will do it. But if y'all don't want to go there, I'm about building something that is totally off of this. That is my goal. I am by nature an abolitionist. I come from the school of that. I understand, but I'm also a realist, and I understand the situation people faces with life and finances, and I understand where our youth are. And I'm not against by any means going into spaces and places where youth are, whether that's a detention facility or to park up the block. These just happen to be spaces that have a need for what we offer, and the institutions and organizations are going to learn just as much, if not more, from us than students do. So we are the example, and we are the power. All power to the people, all powers within us. That's where it is. We with that, y'all. So once again, I'm looking forward to having a bomb dinner with y'all in the Bronx at Piz Arts. That's the big thing. I'm looking forward to Decipher. I'm looking forward to y'all joining Kate's Contagious Vulnerability. The exchange between us, we are attracting, we are not chasing. I'm going to repeat that. We attract, we do not chase. We stay grounded in our things. The information and access within this very group has the ability to shift everything. I seen Dizzy come out of Patterson projects where Uzis was going off, and then now she's up in her spot. I came out of a work-live space that wasn't for me. I am here. I still respect everybody. I don't judge what's not for me and what's for me. And you guys know I'm here to build with you guys, and I'm here to learn from you guys. Thank you so much. So all of us have a standing in there. And the next thing is going to be when we create the next thing. I will look into the un-BCC'd email, and then we could check in maybe about 2 weeks or so, and then do something similar, and then you guys can create the agenda. Y'all can help lead about whatever is needed. Those were the main logistical things, and thank you guys for allowing me to go over those things. But remember, the grounding is in our work and the relationship you have with yourself. That's what we're here to empower through our artistic, okay? Anything else, guys? Want to be mindful once again. Y'all over here putting in that overtime. That's how special you are. And, thank you. I get a lot of anxiety. I'm like, oh, shit, I held them over. But no, I didn't hold nobody over. This is what it is, So I'm facing fears, and I'm here with you. We in the trenches. We're still our students, right? So send your links also in the email. Put your links in the Google Doc if you want to exchange, because all of you have so much brilliant and beautiful things going on that cannot be held in this container of Zoom. So make sure that inter-exchange is a big part of what these meetings are for, right? Thank you guys so much. Nabivia had something, or anybody? Peace and love. All right. Guaz, I'm going to ask you to bring us out if you can with some of our indigenous grounding work. You know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna ask. And if you feel to bring us with the same way you've opened us, as we started, so shall we end. I relinquish my version of facilitator privilege, and I love all of y'all. And y'all hit me on the jack, hit my line, come hang with me, come break bread with me. I'm by the river, Queens all day, Bronx all day, Brooklyn all day, everybody all day, all day, all day, all night. Waz, take us home.
Anhan. I'd like to share in closing that on this day that we gather, one of our Black shining princes, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, was taken from us. On this day, he was told to transition. He wasn't allowed to transition. And reinforcing and re-inspired by the creators within all of us and the creations that come from us, I'd like to offer a song in closing. In our last gathering, we, hello, Chunky Poppies. We hear you in the background. We love you, and we thank you for bringing the spirit of the South, the spirit of Achiano, spirit of the turkey vulture, the Guarajo, and the Arawakan tradition. In this song, we speak to listening to the ancestors, remembering the sacredness of the fires that we have within, and that we as beings, my love, yes, the little one is with full agency in the home space, 15 months strong. But so the words speak to listening to the ancestors. It speaks to remembering the sacred fires, and to remember also to say a declaration that I am one with the skies, the heavens and beyond, the infinite, and the earth. So we sing, Wokama Arakoen Rokoku Watu Naka Wokama Arakoen Rokoku Watu Naka Naka Heketi Tureiku Naka Heketi Tureiku Ogama Arakoe Rokoku Watu Naka Ogama Arakoe Rokoku Watu Naka Naka Hekiti Tureku Taka heketi. Tureiku. Hey. Gratitude to sisters Anakai and Kuyakai for writing that song and offering it to us to remember. Anhan, many blessings to everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your week, guys, and may all moments serve purpose. Give thanks for your presence here. Follow-up emails coming soon. Big love.
Bye, everyone.